Do you ever feel like there's never enough hours in the day? Work-life balance is a myth. Do you ever feel like you have to take work home or stay late at the office? What if you could speed up by slowing down? Technology has changed the pace at which we work. Many leaders now feel overwhelmed, overtired, and overstressed. Time management is out the window. It's no longer about time management. It's about folding time. We have to achieve twice as much in half the time. You don't have time to do everything, you only have time to do what matters. Personally and professionally, we need to accelerate productivity and performance. And our speaker today is going to show us how to do that. Neen James is a certified speaking professional, a designation earned by less than 10% of professional speakers worldwide. Neen is a productivity and performance expert, accomplished author, a little Aussie with a lot of sass, lover of Harleys and a collector too, a collector of fabulous shoes, an official champagne tester. Well, maybe not official. She once ran a marathon, really slowly. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to be more amazing and create more moments that matter, please welcome our fun, energetic little Aussie, Neen James.
What if you could reinvent your speaking career? What would you do? You know, when I first started speaking, I just wanted to speak. I wasn't thinking about thought leadership. Speakers of influence show up with original thinking, significant observations, and implementable outcomes. Ever since Joel Kurtzman coined the term thought leadership in 1994, that phrase has been used and abused in business and in our profession. This room is divided about the term thought leader. Some of you wonder, who calls you a thought leader? Your clients? Your industry? Yourself? Some of you are sitting there wondering, who has the right to call you a thought leader? Who does? A thought leader is someone who has a unique perspective, someone who can shift thinking, shift an industry, or maybe shift a life. Are you a thought leader? Speakers of influence show up as thought leaders. If you actually Google the term thought leader, you get over 80 million results. Thoughts are spontaneous. Ideas are solid. Thoughts occur, but ideas form. Ideas are strategic. Ideas inspire action. Ideas, you can model an idea. I'd like to suggest that as speakers of influence, we are more than thought leaders. We are idea leaders. Ideas are the currency of speakers in the 21st century. Okay, that's tweetable. Ideas are currency. Idea leadership is a commercial strategy. During our time together, I would like to share with you 5 strategies to commercialize your idea leadership. 5 strategies that are going to make you more money in this business. I should tell you, this is not my commercial keynote. These are just ideas I wanted to share with you to make you more money in your business. Does that sound fabulous? In my commercial keynote, it's called Be Amazing, and I help leaders drive productivity and performance so they can create more significant moments that matter. I should probably say, though, every room has an elephant. So let's talk about the elephant in this room. My elephant happens to be 4'10", has a high squeaky voice with an Aussie accent, and wears fabulous shoes. When I first started, I know. When I first started speaking, everybody told me I needed voice coaching. I heard you will never make it in this business with that voice. Even the president of the National Speakers Association told me I needed voice coaching. Not Shep. My speaker friend, a dear mentor, and the author and also the founder of Thought Leaders Global, Matt Church, said, Neen, honor your uniqueness. Ladies and gentlemen, that's strategy number 1. Honor your uniqueness. Know what is unique about you. You can commercialize your uniqueness. Know where you're awesome and give away the rest. Speak on the topic that you are the true idea leader, the true expert. You can't speak on leadership if you've never led a team, and you can't speak on productivity if you're always running late. I know when you first start in this business, you will take any booking. I know I did. I just wanted a full calendar. I still want a full calendar. But here's what I've learned. You will make more money in this business when you refine your expertise and you earn your place in this industry. And maybe you earn your place on this stage. Strategy number 1 is to honor your uniqueness, not just in your area of expertise, but also know who are the audiences that are best for you. See, I walk into a room and I assume everybody wants to play with me. I always have. But here's what I've learned. Not all audiences are a fit for me, and maybe not all audiences are a fit for you. Know where you play best. Know the clients that you love hanging out with, because you need to understand why you love them so much, because when you have to leave your families and travel across the globe, that's the true test. Who do you play best with? But in honoring your uniqueness, think about something you could do that is really surprising for your meeting planners. When I arrive at a location, I pull out my cell phone, I shoot a quick little video, I say I'm so excited, I've arrived, can't wait to serve your audience, and then I text it to them. They love it. What is something unique you could do for your meeting planner? Something that is uniquely yours. It's not just about uniqueness in your topic. It's not just uniqueness in the audiences you serve. It's also the clients you serve. Honor your uniqueness. Give away the rest. Strategy number 1. To commercialize your idea leadership, you've got to get really, really clear. How many of you were at convention last year? Awesome. So maybe about 75% of you. You saw the virtuoso Mike Rayburn playing guitar. You saw the legendary Tony Newman and her red ladder. Sean Stevenson came out to da 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 da. And who could forget the NSA Foundation and the many faces and talents of the crazy Jason Hewlett? Each unique, each authentic, each amazing. So what's unique about you? What is something that sets you apart from everyone else that is seated around you? That's what you commercialize. Honor your uniqueness. We have to be careful in this business, though. we have to be careful that we don't take our uniqueness and read our own press. Have you ever met a speaker and they think they're a really big deal? Like this weekend? Guess what? They're not. In Australia, we have a phrase for this. I come home from a speech and I say to my honey, "Oh my God, I was awesome today." Does anyone else do that? Have you ever watched the people you share your life with and the big eye roll that they do? My honey has one word for this, and he says, tickets. You see, in Australia, we have a phrase. She has tickets on herself. Do you have tickets on yourself? We have to remain humble in this industry because it is a privilege to stand on a platform, and to me, the NSA main stage is sacred ground. Don't have tickets on yourself. To commercialize your uniqueness, stop stealing other speakers' stories. Don't use other people's materials. It's not nice, it's naughty. Commercialize your uniqueness, honor your uniqueness, and don't dishonor this industry. Strategy number 1, honor your uniqueness. And strategy number 2 is track your numbers. You see, in our practice, we track 3 numbers: banked, sold, and delivered. Now, I have a really super fancy way of tracking them. You may want to write this down. Are you ready? I write it on a whiteboard. I know. Some of you have fancy apps, fancy spreadsheets with fancy formulas in them, but I need to see it. Is anyone like me? Yeah, I have a whiteboard and I handwrite 3 columns: banked, sold, and delivered. It's kind of more than a whiteboard. It's an accountability partner. I gotta tell you though, there is nothing more motivating than a whiteboard. These 3 numbers are easy. The bank is obviously what you're tracking your cash flow, right? Sold is a real sale, a signed contract, not a hold. Has anyone ever spent the money in their head from a hold? I know I have. You can deliver your intellectual property in so many ways: as a speaker, author, trainer, mentor, facilitator, or coach. Banked, sold, and delivered. What are your profit centers? See, speaking is just one profit center. It's a modality. It's what you do. It's not who you are. We have to diversify our profit centers to avoid lumpy billing in this business. And you have to sell daily. You got to do the hustle in this business. And the thing about a whiteboard is I can always see it. Can I encourage you, if you really want to make more money in this business, track your numbers, know your profit centers. What's your numbers? You've also got to know, why do you do this? Why do you leave your families behind? What drives you? You got to know your why on those times when you are really lonely in your hotel, when you didn't get a yes, or when your flight's been cancelled and you've had to drive through the night for the client. Know your why, because your why keeps you determined on those days when it's tough. Strategy number 3 is to catalogue your IP. Your intellectual property is one of the greatest assets you'll ever have in this industry. Your unique intellectual property, something that is yours. In the Thought Leaders Global community, of which I'm a partner, we have this really cool template called an intellectual property snapshot. Sounds fancy, right? Those of us in Thought Leaders, we call it a pink sheet. The first one was printed on a pink piece of paper. That's how it got its name. Grab your phones and go to this website, kiwilive.com. Was that a clap for Jeff and KiwiLive.hum? There was, yeah, I heard it. Enter the password Neen, and I put the template in there just for you. Catalogue your intellectual property. Your unique intellectual property is what's going to make you more money in this business. Would many of you agree that in your audiences you have people who are very left-brained and they really love the logic? People who are right-brained and they really love the stories? And as speakers, we're really good at telling stories. What I would like to suggest is you also have audience members who are very strategic. They just want to know the big picture. And you have people who are very, very detailed. They want the tactics. Our job as speakers of influence and true idea leaders is to appeal to all of these audience members. There's really 5 steps in cataloguing your intellectual property, and I want to share those with you. The first thing is you've got to decide what's your big picture. What's your context? Then what I'd love you to think about is what is a model that will actually support the idea that you have? We're going to talk a little bit more about that. Tell me about a metaphor that would really reinforce that for you. Give me some data to support what it is that you're talking about, and then share stories with me. So let's talk about context first. What's your context? You can commercialize your context. What's your one word? What's your big picture? Your context is often the lesson you've been learning over and over and over again in life. And when you see that it's not happening in the world, it drives you crazy. It's your decision filtering system. Think about it. Scott McCain has distinction. Mark Sanborn has leadership. Jeannie Robertson has humor. What's yours? What's your context? You might like to take a moment to write down what's your one word. How do you see the world? So what I'd like to do is I'd like to show you how to actually do this. So I'm going to ask you to think about taking one idea and write it in the middle of the page. So this is how I catalogue my IP. You take an idea and you write it in the middle of the page in maybe 1 or 2 sentences. That's your concept. Then what you think about is, okay, if every audience has left and right brain people, strategic and tactical, you're going to need to have a model. Now, models are really just squares, circles, and triangles. Sometimes they're smushed together to make them look fancier, but that's basically it. So when you think about your context, what shape comes to mind? A model is important for your left brain strategic audience members. And then you think about, well, okay, what's going to be good for a metaphor? Now, metaphors are memorable, repeatable, and retweetable. What's a metaphor? The metaphor is going to appeal to the right brain strategic person. And then where's some evidence to support it? Now, to provide evidence is going to be case studies, statistics, process. What's the steps to what you do to support one idea? That's really great for your left brain detail person. And then lastly, stories bring your idea leadership to life. You can draw from personal observations, current events, world news, ancient history. Ideas are the currency of speakers. We are great at sharing stories. I believe if you share stories, they're going to appeal to the right brain detailed person. As speakers of influence, it is our responsibility to appeal to whole brain thinking. You will have more impact and influence on the audience when you share your unique intellectual property. Strategy number 4 is to create a model. Now, I love models. Every single speaker in this room needs a contextual model. Models are clear, relevant, and meaningful for your audience. Models elevate your content. Models set you apart from every other speaker. Models, remember, are just squares, circles, and triangles. Famous models in history. Covey had the quadrant model. The food industry has the food pyramid. What's a model for your idea? So think about the context that you have. What's a shape that comes to mind? And by the way, in Kiwi Live, I put a template so you can create your own models. I put a cheat sheet in there for you. Nothing? No round of applause? Nothing? Models are really, as I said, squares, circles, and triangles. And so when you think about this, a model is going to also help you develop additional profit centers because it's uniquely yours. I was thinking about this, and I thought, okay, think about some of the great speakers that we have in our midst. Many of you know that Scott McCain has a signature story of Taxi Terry. And I thought, I wonder what Taxi Terry would look like if I drew him in a model. And I don't mean a stick figure. And when you think about Scott's book, Create Distinction, I wrote it and thought, this is what it looks like. So what I did was I thought, okay, this is how it looks. He is all about creating distinction, delighting and differentiating himself. And then I thought about Mark Sanborn. Mark Sanborn has the Fred factor, right? So he has the Fred factor, so I thought, okay, great, what would he look like? So when I read the Encore effect, this is what I drew. The Encore Effect is a brilliant book. What's your model? Now, in my own practice, I have a model for Be Amazing, where I share with leaders how do they drive performance. Now, this is going to be Mark's intellectual property, which means you can't use it. Okay, so in my practice, I talk about influence and impact. How do you be more amazing every day? And so this is my commercial model. I was at High Point University with Nito Cobain at the Business Accelerator Lab last year, and I was sitting with the legendary Steve Spangler. You all know Steve. Yeah, he has a great niche in serving teachers. We were seated there, and he was sharing, we were sipping champagne, as I'm known to do, and he said, he's brilliant in his niche, and he said, I wonder how this would translate in corporate. So right there on my iPad, we created a contextual model on transformational change. Models commercialize your intellectual property. Create a model. It'll change your practice. I also believe that one of the most important things we can do as speakers of influence is to promote each other. Strategy number 5 is promote your people. You can systemize thoughtfulness and you can systemize generosity. You are seated with some of the most generous people that I know. We have a system for this. I like to promote my speaker friends, and so here's my system that I use. Before I go to a speech, I think of 2 names of speakers that would be brilliant for that client. So before I go onto the stage, I plant one name with the meeting planner. I've done this with Patrick Henry, Stacey Hunke, John Petz, and Judson. So while I'm doing my speech, during the speech, let's say I think Patrick would be perfect, because obviously he is. Just ask, right? During the speech, I will tie Patrick into my speech, and then when I get off the stage, hopefully I rocked it and they love me, then I give them the second name of a meeting planner. Now, here's what I do then. I do an email introduction between the speaker and the meeting planner. But wait, there's more. Then I send the meeting planner a copy of Patrick Henry's book, The Pancake Principle. It lands on their desk 24 hours after I've made the email introduction. And that is the secret. We can do this for each other. Most of us have Amazon Prime. We can be more generous in our referrals. What could you do? Who is one speaker you could refer to one client this week? You see, I only promote NSA speakers. I believe we need to elevate the relevance of CSP in the marketplace. In honouring our uniqueness and the uniqueness of speakers around us, we need to make more referrals in this business. We need to give away more business. It's what our founder believed in, and it's the legacy of Cavett that we need to continue with each other. If we make more referrals in this business, everyone makes more money on Money Monday. Can you imagine not being able to give a cuddle? Can you imagine not being able to get a cuddle? You all call them hugs. Many of you don't know this, but that's how I spent the first 2 years of my life. No hugs allowed. You see, I was in steel braces and a full body cast. I was in a body cast from here to here, and I was suspended above a hospital bed, and nobody was allowed to touch me. My mum tells the story of the day that I was cut from my body cast, and the first thing I did was wrap my arms around her and give her a cuddle. And then I gave everyone in the room a cuddle. And I've been hugging ever since, and I haven't stopped, and I never miss the opportunity for a cuddle. That's why I love what I do. You see, a hug is nothing more than an intimate moment shared between two people. Speakers of influence are grabbing their audiences, they're pulling them close, and they're creating significant moments that matter. So what's holding you back? What's keeping you from the speaking career that you want? What's keeping you from achieving greatness in this industry? My wish for you is that every time you stand before an audience, you approach them with awe and wonder and say, wow, this is amazing. My last wish for you is that you give more cuddles, that you get more cuddles, that you make more money from your idea leadership, and we make more referrals in this industry. And that as a speaker of influence, you make the contribution that you were born to make. Thank you.